Shabbat. Um, we're going to be reading in Matthew, starting in chapter 21. We'll see how many we get. And let's get as people come in, say, hey, how y'all doing? All right. Chapter 21, verse 1, it says, and when they drew nigh to Jerusalem and were come to Bethphage unto the mount, then sent Yeshua two disciples, saying unto them, go into the village over against you, and straightway ye shall find a donkey tied, and a colt with her. Loose them and bring them unto me. And if any man say aught unto you, ye shall say, the Lord hath need of them, and straightway he will send them. All this was done that it might fulfill which was spoken by the prophet, saying, tell ye the daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh unto thee, meek and sitting upon a donkey, and a colt of a foal of a donkey. And the disciples went and did as Yeshua commanded them, and brought the donkey and the colt, and put on them their clothes, and they set him thereon. And a great multitude spread their garments in the way. Others cut down branches from the trees and strawed them in the way. And the multitudes that went before and that cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he that cometh in the name of Yahweh, the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. And when he come into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, who is this? And the multitude said, this is Yeshua, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee. And Yeshua went into the temple of Yah, and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves, and said unto them, it is written, my house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were sore displeased, and said unto him, hearest thou what these say? And Yeshua said unto them, yea, have ye never read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings thou hast perfected praise? And he left them and went out of the city into Bethany, and he lodged there. Now when the morning returned into the city, he hungered. And when he saw a fig tree in the way, he came to it and found nothing thereon, but leaves only, and said unto it, fruit grow on thee henceforth forever. And presently the fig tree withered away. And when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, how soon is the fig tree withered away? Yeshua answered and said unto them, verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. And all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. Well, I get a lot out of this so far, and what I think, okay, what I think is that in this little part right here, Yeshua was saying, if we have faith and don't doubt, we can do all the things that he did, like to the fig tree, where he saw that the fig tree didn't have any fruit, but had leaves. It should have had fruit if it had leaves, but it didn't. And because it didn't bear any fruit, he cursed it to not ever bear fruit. And it's the same thing with people. If Yah sees that his people are supposed to be doing what they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing, but yet they're not bearing any kind of fruit, he will make it to where you can't bear fruit.
Right.
He'll take his spirit away from you if you refuse to bear fruit. And then he said you can do even more than that. You can move. So anything that stands in your way, any believer things in your way that is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. There's specific things that us believers are supposed to be doing, and there's a lot of things that they're not doing. So Yah is moving people out of the way who refuse to do what they're supposed to do, what they're called to do, what their natural place in His kingdom is for them to do. And then He's bringing in other people who will do it.
Right.
Right. You get anything out of that?
I also get that Yeshua comes and visit. Mm-hmm. You know, He will show up in your life periodically. And what He's looking for is, what are you producing? Are you producing good fruit? Are you producing the fruits of the Spirit? Are you leading others to Himself? Are you doing what He called you to do? And if He sees that when He does come and visit, and inspects the fruit that is being produced, if you're not producing any fruit, let's just say that you produce a little bit at one point, and then after that, the second time He comes around, you're not producing anything. Then what He does is He curses you, and He says, you're not producing anything. You're not doing what I call you to do. You're not, doing what you're supposed to do to the kingdom. And so what He does is he'll curse you. And I want to kind of point out that this does not mean that you die. It doesn't necessarily mean that. This is where you see people that become completely bitter. You talk to them about Yah, you talk to them about Yeshua. They don't want to have anything to do with it. They don't want to listen to you. They don't want to. That's why they have gotten to a point. Well, I would say the enemy have gotten them to a point with the things of life, that they have become bitter, and they just don't want to have any with Yah or with following Yeshua and living a life that He requires us to live. And so people, at that point, Yeshua says, well, I'm going to take my spirit from you and give it to someone that is willing to do what it takes and what my spirit is supposed to do, to lead others to me. And what about the part about the temple courtyard and how He showed up at the temple courtyard?
Well, I thought about that, and I was going to read that in 23. So, okay, when you look at modern churches have the coffee shops and the bookstores and all the nice things in it. And if Yeshua came in now and start throwing books all over the place, start knocking everything over, they would have the same exact, they would have the same exact mentality like they have in verse 23, asking, who sent you to do this? Who allowed you to do this? By what authority? Or you turn up our stuff?
Right.
You'll be put in jail right away because you're messing up business for someone else. They don't care that it's the house of Yah. They don't care that it's supposed to be a place of prayer. It's supposed to be a place of worship. They don't care. Modern day church could care less. They only desire what they desire. And that's it. In verse 23, he says, and when He was coming to the temple, the chief priests and elders of the people came unto Him as He was teaching. So when He walked in, He started teaching and said, by what authority doest thou these things? And who gave thee this authority? Like, how are you come up in here and you're casting out and you're throwing stuff around and you're acting crazy? Who told you to come in here and do that? And that's what they wanted to know, because they would have arrested them right then. Modern day, you'll get arrested right away,
right.
Because like I said, they don't care. They don't care that you're zealous for the house of Yah. They only look at, this is our stuff that we pay for.
Right.
and you're messing it up.
Right.
So you got to go.
Right.
Verse 24, it says, and Yeshua answered and said unto him, I also will ask you one thing, which if ye tell me, I in like wise will tell you by what authority I do these things.
Mhm.
The baptism of John, whence was it, from heaven or of men? And this is the thing about this whole thing, is what he was doing, it was by the authority of heaven. But it's heaven versus men. The things that men want to do or say or believe or, whatever,
Mhm.
versus things that heaven, that Yah wants done.
Right.
And even modern day churches, they could care less. They
Right.
don't care that, what they're doing is not of Yah. It's of men.
Right.
They don't care. It doesn't matter. It's a money-making machine. And that's what it's going to be. Got anything?
What I got out of that is the church is only there to make their agenda progress.
Mm-hmm.
Here Yeshua made it known that, my temple is supposed to be the house of Yah, and in the house of Yah, you're there to pray and to intercede and to uplift each other. And in this case, he's making it known you're not doing any of those things. All you doing, you made it a den of thieves, meaning you taking from people. You're not giving anything to people, you're actually taking from them. And the reality of that is the church is taking from Yah's people. Their gifts and talents are being taken from them by doing entertainment. Their money is being taken from them by, pushing the church's agenda or where the churches, want to go. It's not about the true heart of worship and service. It's not about edifying the body, and really allowing people to have the freedom in the spirit that we're supposed to be having in the spirit. And so I look at it from the point of you're really not doing anything for people, you're just doing it for yourself. Whoever is at the top gets the icing on the cake. And so, but one thing that I want to mention, something that you said that caught my attention, is nowadays, if you were to go to the temple and do the exact same thing that Yeshua did, now they actually have security people in churches, so that if you come in there with any type of intentions to disrupt, they'll pull you out and they'll call the police. Which I think is interesting that Yeshua actually did the same thing during that time as an example of his disagreement and his anger towards the people that were abusing his own, and not doing what they were called to do. So, this is why so many people, so many folks are actually walking out of the church and doing what Yah called them to do individually. Eventually, it'll come together, but for now, people are just gathering themselves, one at a time, their family, to do what Yah actually says in His Word that we are supposed to be doing.
Right.
But yeah.
All right. So going starting in verse 25, it says, the baptism of John, whence was it, from heaven or of men? And they reasoned within themselves, saying, if we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, why do ye not believe him? But if we say of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet. And they answered Yeshua and said, we cannot tell. And he said unto them, neither tell I you by what authority I do these things. 28. But what think ye? A certain man had two sons, and he came to the first son and said, go work today in my vineyard? And he answered and said, I will not. But after that, he repented and went. And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not. Whether of them twain did the will of his father? They said unto him the first. Yeshua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of God before you. For John came unto you in the way of righteousness, and ye believed him not. But the publicans and the harlots believed him, and yea, when ye had seen it, repented not, that ye might believe him. 33. Here another parable. Well, with that one, okay. What I'm getting out of this one is, Yeshua is talking about the people who seemingly are at the bottom of society are going to go into the kingdom of heaven before those who are supposed to be at the top. Those who are supposed to be the leaders, we're talking about earlier, the church. If you walk into a modern day church, start turning over tables and messing up the coffee shop and throwing books on the floor and CDs on the floor and all that. The pastor is like these the leaders, okay? The people who come into the church who know that they need what Yah has for them. They're going to go into the kingdom of heaven before those who think they're at the top and think they're righteous and think they got it all together. Because they won't listen. They won't believe even the word that they speak. Because they think they got it all together already.
Right.
33 says, here another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard and hedged it round about and digged a winepress in it and built a tower and let it out to a husbandman and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they might receive the fruits of it. And the husbandman took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another. Again, he sent other servants more than, and they did unto them likewise. But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. When the Lord thereof, the vineyard, cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen? They said to him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen in their season. Yeshua said unto them, did ye never read the stone which the builders rejected? The same is become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it's marvelous in our eyes. Therefore, I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth the fruits thereof. And let me pause right there. That last line, it really hit me. It says, the kingdom of heaven, kingdom of Yah, shall be taken from you, from those who thought that they naturally should possess it,
right,
and be given to a nation, bringing forth the fruits thereof. And my mind is thinking a lot of different things. I know we talked about a lot about how Satan, thought he was going to sit on the throne that
right,
Yeshua sits on,
right,
and he had the same exact mentality that, he didn't deserve it.
right.
And there's people here who think because they say a sinner's prayer, because they, they're the pastor, that they're shoo-in into the kingdom of heaven. But it's saying right here, I'll give it to a whole nother nation.
Right.
I don't have to give it to you. I don't have to give it to none of y'all.
Right.
All he cares about is people who are going to bring forth the fruit.
Right.
And that's our job. That's the whole reason why we do what we do on YouTube, why we take from our Saturday when we could just be chilling and enjoying it for ourselves, getting in the word and enjoying our family ourselves. That's why we take our time and we make these videos.
Right.
Because we want to have the fruit. We want to bring forth fruit. We want other
Mhm.
people to grasp this concept of how we're supposed to be.
Right.
Okay. John the Baptist has talked about John the Baptist was a righteous person, and he was showing everybody how to be righteous, how to get into the kingdom of heaven, how to repent, how to, how the steps to do it. And those who are at the top of society, they refused. They didn't listen. They didn't want to do it because they thought they were already perfect. And it's the same thing here. We have so many people who think they're perfect. They think they got it all together. They think it's whatever. I don't need to listen. I don't care. I'm out here trying to get money. I'm out here trying to do this. I'm out here trying to do that. While there's people trying to tell them, hey, look, this is really the way to get into the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
If you don't want it, that's fine. But whoever does want it is going to enter. Whoever does desire to get into the kingdom of heaven, who will listen to the instructions of, oh, this is how you do it. This is point A, point B, point C, all of that. They will do it. And Yah doesn't care who it is. He doesn't care what they look like. He doesn't care what background they have. All he cares about is, are they going to do it? Are they going to gain fruit? Are they going to make something of it? That's it. Whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken. Shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude, because they took him for a prophet. And Yeshua answered and spake unto them, saying by parables, and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son. And he sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them what you're bidden. Behold, I prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come to the marriage. But they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants and treated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their cities. Then said he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. A couple of things about this. One, I want to bring attention to verse 43. I think it's 43. My eyes are. But 43, where it talks about Yeshua being the rock, and whoever the rock falls on will be granted power, but whoever falls on the rock shall be broken. I want to bring that up because it's important. People that Yeshua comes to, and he calls them out and says, hey, I need you to come, and I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you so that you can go forward. That person is going to be granted power. Now, what kind of power is that person granted? This is not the type of power that you are going to be at the top and you are like the way we think of power. But you're going to be granted power where spirits they're going to know who you are, and they're going to be obedient to what you've been called to do. Now, the person that falls on the rock is going to be broken. That means that Yeshua is going to show you the areas where you have fell short, and that is going to break you. When the truth is finally revealed to you as an individual of where you have fallen short in what Yah has stated for your family or your lineage, okay? you automatically become broken, because that means that everything that Yah has for you has been delayed for generations. So once that revelation comes through, because you just happen to fall on or to stumble upon Yeshua and who he is, it breaks the person, okay? Until you come to, okay, I'm gonna do this your way and I'm gonna follow you your way. And then the other thing that I want to bring is about the wedding. Notice that the scripture says, go into the highways and the byways and find those that are the ones that were originally worthy of the wedding are no longer worthy of it. Why? Because they didn't want to come. They were invited. They knew the kingdom. They knew who they were. But they made every excuse as to why they couldn't. And so because of those excuses of why they couldn't come to the wedding feast, they lost out in the kingdom. And what Yah did was Yah cut them out of the kingdom and his blessings, and said, because nobody's willing to come to my feast, nobody's willing to come to the wedding that I have prepared for them, those that originally were worthy of the wedding feast, those that were originally written in the kingdom, because of every excuse that they have to give.
And it took light of it. They didn't take it seriously.
Right. Like, I have a farm. I got to go take care of my animals. I got to do this and that. Your excuses as to why you're not willing to walk in the ways and keep the commitments of Yah will automatically cut you out of his kingdom. And that's what it boils down to, is your excuses are going to cut you out. And then that is going to make you unworthy to receive the blessing. So Yah is saying, if you continue to make all these excuses as to why you can't continue to keep my commitment, it's going to cut you out. And I'm going to go find people that are worthy, whether they're lame, crippled, hurt, it doesn't matter. If they are willing to come and do what I say, they now become worthy of the kingdom. So I wanted to point that out because I think it's important for us to understand that just because you believe you're worthy of something doesn't mean that you're going to receive it if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. And there's something else in this is, God called us to act and be specific. He is pulling him for himself out of every people who will keep the testimony of Yeshua and obey his commands. There are a lot of people who take this very lightly. There's a lot of people who don't understand this walk, even though they're supposed to be the original children of Israel, even though they're supposed to be the people of the Bible. They don't take it seriously. They don't look hard enough. They don't study. They don't try to figure out, okay, what is my part in this, and walk in it. There's so many people that, like it says in verse 5, but they made light of it and went their ways, one to his form and another to his merchandise. Everybody's trying to make money. Everybody's trying to do something else. Everybody got their own goals in life, trying to get rich or do whatever that they are doing for success in their own eyes.
Right.
Instead of taking Yah's covenant seriously.
Yep.
We have to realize this life is very short compared to eternity. We don't understand what all was happening before we were born. It's a very long ways from the beginning of the earth until the point where we were born. And from the point that we die until the end, it's going to be a very long ways. And we take it lightly that Yah is asking us to give up our short little life to serve him, to obey him, to get to know him, to love him. To love his word, his commandments, just as David loved them. People take that lightly, and they think it's a joke. They think, oh, whatever, You got people saying, "Oh, the Bible ain't real. Oh, this is not real. That's not real," and they try to break it apart and make it into some fairy tale. But when you see that your life actually lines up to this, and when you see that this is really all the things that this talks about, we actually go through in different ways. And when people realize that, hey, yes, this is real, those people, they stick to it. But it's a shame that, the church sells people on this Jesus thing, and they make Jesus into the image of God himself. But even Yeshua said, hey, unless you do the will of my Father, you'll by no means enter the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
And Yeshua is not sitting on the only throne. There's two thrones. One of the Father's sitting on, and then Yeshua sitting at the right hand of the Father.
Right.
So we have to keep in mind there's more to the story than what we've been told. There's more to this Bible than what we've been shown. There's more to all of this than what we have been led to believe. But we have to take it seriously first. And we have to realize that our life is actually wrapped up in this. And we've been given everything we need. It's up to us to believe it. And a lot of people won't believe it just because they can't test it out first. They can't take it for a test drive first. You got to jump in, and it got to be all in before Yah even begins to start showing you. It might take you months of seeking him before he even begins to show you one little thing.
Right. Or years sometimes, depending on what it is that you're seeking.
Right, but people give up before they even get to the good stuff.
Right.
But anyway, let's move on. I'm going to start in verse 10. It says, I'm in Matthew chapter 22. Anybody want to follow along? So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. Mm-hmm. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. And we pause right there, because this is something that is very serious. Yes. This is for all the church people who think saying the name of Jesus, giving your life to Jesus, not really doing anything that the Father asked you to do. He's summing up their entire existence right here. He called people to go out to the highways and the byways, and just whoever would come, whether good or bad.
Right.
He didn't care if the people were evil, if they were bad people, or they were good people. He just wanted the actual wedding to be filled. So you have a lot of people in church right now, right? And they go up to these altar calls, and they do all, and the pastor keeps telling them, you don't have to do anything else. It's all been paid for on the cross. There's nothing else that you need to do. But without understanding this, they think that they're good. Okay? And they had someone who came in, but he was not dressed the part.
Not properly dressed.
So that means in Yah's own kingdom, they're bad people. They're people who are not prepared. They're people who didn't come in with what they're supposed to come in with. Okay? They don't have on heavenly clothes. They don't have on, they didn't take off the clothes of the world and put on clothes of the wedding feast.
Right.
So this person is still wearing clothes of the world, meaning he's still doing whatever the world does. And he's in a wedding, which, of course, you walk into a wedding, everybody got on tuxedos, and you got on street clothes. You're going to be oddball out real quick,
Yes.
So this is how Yah sees us. He says, hey, hold on. This person, you got on street clothes. You're not in a wedding attire. You're not in what I want you to put on. Right. So then he grabs him and he kicks him back out. So it's just like he never even was saved. And this is in his kingdom. So you can be in the kingdom and still not be prepared.
Right.
You can be in the kingdom of heaven, in the kingdom of Yah, doing everything that everybody else does, but yet you're not prepared because you didn't take your time and learn what you're supposed to do. So we're out here trying to tell people, hey, look, just take another look at this book. Take another look at what it's saying, because you're going to miss some stuff. And the things that you miss could be detrimental. You believe in a pastor who, like we talked about earlier, if you walk into a church and you start throwing books and you start throwing, go to the coffee section, where they sell the coffee, and you start throwing all the stuff around and you start saying the things that Yeshua said, they're going to kick you out and have you arrested. Why?
Yep.
Because they care more about that coffee, those books, those DVDs, all that nice little stuff in their lounge areas and, the little bookstores. They care more about that than they do you. They care more about those things than they do keeping the sanctuary holy. They don't care about keeping the sanctuary holy. So those are the same people telling you that you don't have to do nothing else besides accept Jesus into your life as your Lord and Savior. Then you go into the wedding feast and Yah is looking at you like, wait, hold on, what are you doing here?
Right.
And like this guy was speechless because he didn't know the answer. You can't say my pastor told me because you have the book. We literally have the book, and we can read it for ourselves, but most people never read it. We never pick it up. We never say, let me look in this book for myself. Let me get another glance at this because there's got to be more. And I promise you, there's a whole lot more. There's a world more of other than what you've been told. So this little piece right here is very telling, and it tells a lot about the church, and it tells a lot about organized groups of one person who believes something that another person says without actually looking it up for themselves.
Right.
Anything?
Well, and it goes back to trusting somebody else's word versus you looking into it for yourself. Just like the word says, we are to test every spirit, because not every spirit that has been sent out has been sent out by Yah. So you have to have enough discernment that when people tell you something, you have to discern whether they're telling you the absolute truth or not. And yes, there is an absolute truth to the word. Mm-hmm. So, this man in the book of Matthew 22, it tells you if you're not dressed appropriately, meaning if you do not take off the natural things of the world and put on heavenly things, which is spiritual, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven and expect to stay there and enjoy the beauty of Yah's kingdom because you're not prepared to receive it. And that is the destiny of a lot of people because they believe, well, I believe in Yeshua. I'm a Christian and I go to church every Sunday and, I give my 10% and I help, my neighbor so-and-so every so often. I am good. I am dressed. When Yah's looking at your thought, that every time you go to sister so-and-so next door to give her food, in your mind, you're thinking, well, they have a job. I don't understand why they need food. I don't understand why, I'm always helping these people. Like they work just like I do. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Your thought automatically condemns you because of the truth. So we do things sometimes because people put that responsibility on you as if you got to do this in order to get into this. There's a routine or a list that you check off. And you believe that because all those things are checked off, you are going to go into the kingdom. But Yah is looking at you, at what you got on. What do you have on? Do you have gossip on? Do you have jealousy on? Do you have sexual immorality on? Do you have hatred on? Do you have contention on? What kind of clothing do you have on that you walk out of your house every single day with? And when you come into his kingdom, he's looking at it and he says, you can't be here while you have hatred, jealousy, contention, strife, your
fruits of the flesh.
The fruits of the flesh, sexual immorality. You can't come in here. You're not holy. You're not pure. So your clothing is gonna show that. Just like, if you put a stain of red wine on a white piece of clothing, you can tell that for miles. Oh, yeah. So people are going to be like, what were you eating at lunch? I had some wine at lunch, or I had some kind of red juice at lunch and it spilled on my clothing. And what are they gonna say? Hey, I got some Tide. Now they have the little Tide pen thing that you can erase, whatever. That is an example of keeping your clothing clean and making sure that you're washing your clothing appropriately, consistently, so that when you show up before Yah, your clothing is actually white and shiny.
And the way we wash our clothes is through the washing of the word.
Through the word.
It's through spending time with Yah, prayer, worship, and your word.
In your word. Getting this word into your spirit to keep you away from the things that Yah says he's not pleased with.
Right. All right. So let's move on. And hello to the people who are here. Thank you for listening.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Yeah. And let's go to 15. So this is Matthew chapter 22, verse 15. Then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk. So they're going to try to get him to say something that is blasphemous, or because if you go back to the law of Moses, there's certain things that you can be killed for instantly. And one of those things is blaspheming Yah, blaspheming the name of Yah, stuff like that. Blasphemy will get you killed quickly. So that's what they're going to try to get him entangled up with. Okay. 16, and they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true, and teachest the way of God in truth. Neither carest thou for any man, for thou regardest not the person of men. Tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? But Yeshua perceived their wickedness and said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Shew me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he said unto them, Who is this image and superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. Then he said unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. When they heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way. So they tried to send in people. Herodians were people who they were Hebrews, but they were tricked and they followed a different way. And their way included doing things that Yah said don't do. This was in the time period before, in between the New Testament and the Old Testament, there were wars and different people, different things going on. And the Herodians were people who basically they turned their backs on the true path that Yah called them to, but still were connected enough to continue to go to the temple, continue to do things that they were supposed to do. But they compromised. They were people who compromised their faith and their walk. Okay. So these Pharisees got them to go and try to hook Yeshua in words. But Yeshua was like, no, I'm not going to fall for that. And this is something we were talking about last night, which is, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. We have to think about in this life, Yah didn't call us to be completely engulfed in this society. Yah did not call us to be completely, gung-ho for whatever the society wants to do. And you can check people's, their hearts, especially right now during election time. You got all these people out here talking about, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm this, I'm that. And you got a lot of people saying, oh, I hate this person, I hate that person, and breaking people down based on what they say and based on what they do. That will tell you how gung-ho they are for this society, how much of this society is in them. Me personally, I don't care who wins, I'm not going to vote, simply because you're not going to stop the system from moving forward. Whoever is president, they're not going to be able to stop whatever the investors, the other people who really run this country want to do. And this right here, he says, give unto Caesar what is due Caesar's. If you're supposed to pay your taxes, pay your taxes. If you're supposed to do something, do it. Do what you have in this life, in this country, in this, for your daily living. But
Right.
also, don't ever forget that you're supposed to give to Yah what you're supposed to give to Him, because
Right.
you are called to live a certain life that is
Right.
different from what the world says that you're supposed to live.
Right.
Okay, that's where it comes from. Got anything?
Okay. He's gonna step out for a second. But what I got from that is the same thing. We're supposed to be able to separate what the things that are of this life and the things that are of the spirit. And here Yeshua is making the illustration because they were trying to trip him into saying, hey, what is the difference? Should I do this or should I do this? It's like, wait, hold on a minute. Whose face is on this coin? If his face is on it, then you do what you're supposed to do for that person. So in relation to government and spiritual things, do what you're supposed to do to live a life that is peaceful on this earth. At the same time, learning to do the things that Yah required you to do, because those two things are too different. They're completely different. Do not mix the things of this life and the flesh with the things of the spirit. And in here, Yeshua is making that illustration. There are certain things that you have to do in order to live and sustain this life peacefully here on earth. But there are certain things that you have to do in your spiritual life in order to make it to the next life and be able to enjoy those things. So we have to learn how to separate those two things and not combine them, because what they were trying to do is to get him to combine the two things and saying, the illustration about Caesar and about the taxes, okay? They were trying to mix those two things together, okay? And Yeshua was trying to make it known to them that no, those two things are two different things. Yah requires you to do certain things a specific way to get your spirit ready for the next life. And there are certain things that you have to do in order to live this life peacefully. Do those things. Go ahead.
Also, it makes me think of the book of Daniel. When you look at Daniel's life, Daniel was taken to Babylon as a slave.
Right.
Him, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But they continued, right? They worked for the government, but they continued in their faith the way they were supposed to. So you can walk this out that way. You just need to look at the book of Daniel and see, where did he compromise on? What were the things that he had to do for his job versus the things that he could not compromise on?
Right.
The things God called him to do. Now, you can't help that, okay, you're in a foreign land and you're helping a foreign government succeed. But at the same time, there's certain things that Yah commands of him to do, which was to seek Yah daily. And he had a habit of praying 3 times a day. And he never stopped doing that, even when the government said, hey, you can't do that anymore.
Right.
He was like, no, I don't care. So Yeshua is basically saying that here, as there's certain things that you have to do for your daily life, like we said, and then there's certain things you cannot compromise on. And we need to learn the difference in that. Right. Because in modern day society, especially with the cell phones, with tracking people, with knowing every place you go, everything that you do, it's getting more and more invasive. So you need to know, right, what you're going to compromise on and what you can't. Right. And that's it. Right. Right. All right, so let's move on. Verse 22. When they heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way. The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him, saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die, have no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and having no issue, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third unto the seventh. And last of all, the woman died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the seven? For they all had her. All right, there's something very big I want to talk about in this is, first off, they don't even believe in a resurrection. So that's a red flag. There are people out here who don't even believe what they say. There's pastors who do not believe the word that they say. They say it because that's what they're paid to say. That's what they're told to say. That's what they learn in theology school.
Right.
That's what they learn in seminary. They were taught what to say and how to say it, whether they believe it or not.
Right.
So these people, they do not believe in a resurrection, yet they ask a question about the resurrection, which lets you know that it is possible to speak this word. It's possible to go through life pretending to be one thing when you're really not. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to beware of people who do that. We have to really beware of pastors and people who are supposed to be leaders who don't even believe their own word. You see all these pastors getting caught up with sleeping with people in the congregation, with embezzling money, lying, cheating on their wives, like all kind of craziness. And
Raping.
You say, well, how are you
Raping
up there?
kids.
Right, raping kids and just dumb stuff. But you're up there every Sunday speaking the word,
right,
reading out of this book, saying these things, yet that person doesn't even believe it in their own heart. It's not even a part of them, but they say it. So just like this, there are people who are like this, and we have to really, really pay attention. But let's look at Yeshua's response to them. In verse 29, it says, Yeshua answered and said unto them, ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of Yah. See, so he's telling them the right thing. You don't even know what you're talking about. Right. You don't understand what you're saying. You don't understand the power of Yah. You don't understand none of this. You're just a talking head. You say it because it makes money. You say it because you're in this group, and that's what everybody else believes. But you don't even believe what you're saying. Okay, 30. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of Yah in heaven. So this also speaks to us and lets us know we're going to be like the angels. And I've said it so many times, and I'll say it again. We literally are replacing the third of innumerable angels that walked away with Satan.
Right.
We are replacing them. And we are also replacing the watchers from the book of Enoch. That is why the Bible says that we will be judging angels. We will be judging the fallen angels, because we are now going to replace the watchers. Right. Those of us who excel and who go above and beyond, who give up our lives to follow Yah, to speak his words, to preach, to teach, all these different things. We are going to be the new watchers. Right. And we are also going to be the new types of angels, okay, in heaven, that in no telling, Yah may restart life on earth after a while. We don't know. Right. And those people we're going to be helping to know who Yah is. Right. We have to fix everything that has been broken since the earth started, because Yah had a specific way of doing things. So in the resurrection, we're going to be like angels, okay? 31, but as touching the resurrection of the dead. Gotta flip the page here. Okay. 31, but as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by Yah, saying, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. So once we die, we are moved out of the way to become as the angels.
Right. You really don't die.
Right. You really don't die. But Yah continues on with those who are on the earth who are still living, and we will be assisting those just as the
Correct.
angels do.
Correct.
So when you sit here and you think about our roles, our role is very important, and it is why we have to go through the things we go through in this life.
Right.
Also, side note, Yeshua, him coming here to earth, him going through everything he went through, and then being killed
Okay.
the way he was killed was all a test.
Right.
Because he could not sit on a throne next to Yah without being tested first.
Right.
Okay. So once he was
Right.
tested and he was able to sit on the throne, it allowed us to also do the same thing. Otherwise, we would have had to continue to live and live and live and live and live, generation after generation after generation, until Yah could find someone in heaven
that was worthy
of undoing the scrolls to end all of this. Okay.
Right.
So Yeshua, of course, if you read the book of Revelation, he was the only one that could sit on the throne. He was the only one that can open the seals, because Yahweh set the seals to where life would continue until one was able to open them. And in heaven, they were crying, they were weeping, because there was no one in heaven or on earth who was able to open the seals.
Right.
But Yeshua proved himself by coming down here, teaching us, showing us how to live, being tempted in everything that we were tempted in, and dying obediently to the cross, and then being resurrected. Yah performed the miracle, his part in lifting him back up. So Yeshua had to give up his life without really knowing, was Yah going to do it for real? And Yah did. Okay. So this is something that we need to understand. It's all part of a plan. It's all part of something. I have to go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a blessed day. But there's a part of this that we have to understand our part.
Right.
Because we need to know that what Yeshua went through is not for nothing. What we go through here is not for nothing. It's to prove us. It's so that we can be in heaven at the rank above the angels who are currently in heaven. Okay. So that we can judge them. We're going to be above those angels because we've been tried. Okay.
Right. What I was going to say was, you don't get the glory without the trial. Right. Yeshua had to be tried. He had to go through those things and overcome. And depending on your ability to overcome, your different stages of life, different trials, different tribulations will determine the level of authority that you are going to gain once we get to heaven. Shalom, fam. Shalom.
Yes. Yeah.
So this life is Yah's way of trying your heart. I've always said,
oh, hey, Mom.
Hey, Mama. We've always talked about this, and I've always said that your ability to overcome the things that you face on this earth will determine the level of authority and power that you are going to gain in the next. Okay. As you grow, every time you have opposition on earth, every time you overcome a certain area on earth, you get to a different level of authority and power in the spirit. Right. So you get to go beyond certain areas where everybody else gets to stay at a certain level. And this is going to minister to somebody. Your opposition is the enemy that Yah allows to equip you for overcoming that thing. Once you overcome that thing, now you have reached a different level of authority spiritually. Okay. So the thing is, as we grow, as we learn, as we engage, as we overcome, you untap, you open a different area of understanding and power. Okay. And with that being said, that does not mean that we abuse that authority or that we abuse that power, because the same way that Yah gave it to you is the same way that Yah can take it away. But understand that as you grow up until we die, okay, and you get to the other side, just like in the book of Revelation, which the hubby just mentioned it, in the book of Revelation, the word says that Yah is going to give us the ability to rule nations. Why is that? Those people that have the ability to rule nations, everybody's not going to get to rule nations. Okay?
Only those who overcame.
Only those who overcame, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you overcome certain things of this life and you get to the other side,
Right,
Yah is going to make
right.
you a ruler of those people in different nations,
right.
Okay?
And that's the exact same
to rule
thing
with him.
that the Watchers did.
Right.
It's the same thing. The Watchers were supposed to rule over these nations. But what they did, they made a pact with each other, not to serve Yah, not to show people how to follow Yah, but to get their own glory.
Right.
To take what they wanted off of this land and off of these people for themselves. So we're going to replace that once we overcome everything that is in the world. Just like Yeshua said, Satan has nothing in me. Right. When we die, there should be nothing in us from this world. Right. There should be nothing that draws us, that pulls us, no sins that we desire. There should be nothing that we desire of this world. Only Yah. Because once you have overcome this world, now you're ready for the next level. Now you can be over other people who are still down here, who are still struggling, who are still going through, and help them out, just as the Watchers were supposed to, just as the angels are supposed to. So, yeah, as you overcome, and you're going to have to overcome a lot of stuff. Like you don't have a clue as to how much stuff is really in you, how much the enemy really has a presence in you. Until you start overcoming all these different things, then you realize just what it was,
Right.
All right. So let's move on. Verse 33, and when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. 41. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Yeshua asked them, saying, What think ye of Christ? Whose son is he? They said unto him, The son of David. He said unto them, How then doth David in spirit call him Lord, saying, The Lord said unto my Lord, Sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. Right. I have something real fun, real neat with this, because first, a few chapters ago, he asked the disciples, who did they think he was? Right. And who did they see him as? And now he's asking the same question to the Pharisees. So he's asking the same question of the Pharisees, who do you say I am? Who am I to you? And they said unto him, the son of David. So they're admitting who he is, but they're doing it on a not a spiritual level. They're trying to bring it down to a natural level, saying you are the son of David, meaning naturally you are in the lineage like us. Basically, you're just like us. Right. Okay. And so he hit them with, of course, because he knows the scripture so well, he hit them with, how then doth David in spirit call him Lord? The Lord shall say unto my Lord, Sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thine footstool. So he is telling them, I'm not God himself, but David was speaking of me
as the Lord.
Right. Because he said, the Lord, Yahweh, said unto my Lord, Yeshua, sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. Okay.
Right.
45. If David then called him Lord, how is he his son?
Right.
And no man was able to answer him a word, neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. So this is the thing, you have all these people today saying Jesus is God, Jesus is God, but yet Yeshua is telling him right here, I am not God. I am not the Father. I am the Son. And in this, it explains who I am and who David saw me as. David understood Yeshua from way back then exactly who he was. Right. He understood the Godhead. He understood the Trinity. He understood who these people were and how it went. Restoring all things to their former status. Gosh, it is a process that will be amazing to witness for self with your own eyes. Exactly.
Yes.
You get it.
Yes.
Exactly. Once you understand who everybody is, who you are, who the other people around you are, then you get to see the beauty of how Yah set this thing up. And how when you go back into the Bible, you can see all the different things that, okay, this was true, this was true, this was true, this really happened, this really happened, this really happened to these people, exactly the way that Yah said it was going to happen. And then you see the beauty and the power that is in this word for your personal life. Because then you get to walk forward. Once you look back and you see who you are, who your ancestors were, who the person next to you is, who Yah is, who Yeshua is, who everybody is, you get to move forward looking at the word and saying, okay, this is where we are now. This is what I'm expected to be doing. And you can now walk with, power and with understanding of who you are and what you're supposed to be doing as you're part of all of this.
Right. And something too that kind of hit me when you made that statement as the hubby was reading it is last week we shared something very, very interesting. And that is that when we all understand our part, because each one of us has a part to do in the certain area that Yah has placed you. Once you do your part and we come together as a whole, it brings healing. Okay. To the not just us individually or our families, but the earth itself will heal, and that healing will surpass into the galaxies and different planets and everything that Yah created.
It's all based on us.
Yes, and this is out of the Book of Jubilees. If you have not listened to that message, it was from last week. We posted it last week. But the thing is, when we do what we're supposed to do and we walk this out according to how Yah designed it for us to walk it out, then we begin to heal the areas of the people around us. And then when they interlock to their position and you interlock to your position, then you bring healing to regions of wherever you are. And if everybody does what they're supposed to be doing, if you have people in, I don't know, New York, Atlanta, Texas, Florida, in different cities, and everybody interlock with it, and they're rising up to what they're supposed to be doing, each one of these places will begin to heal.
Right. Starting with rain, and it's seasoning the way it's supposed to be. Not too much, not too little.
Right.
Like it's supposed to be. And the land itself will start to heal. And then you also, that power starts pulling other people towards you. And more people start gathering together, and you create these churches in each city. And I mean churches, I don't mean like a building. I mean like people, people who actually carry the spirit, right? That become the temple, right? And how in the book of Acts, how it talks about, the people went from door to door. They went to house. They fellowship with each other. They talked to each other. There was an era of love, of appreciation, of wholeness, of righteousness that permeated entire neighborhoods, entire cities. That's what I'm talking about as being the church. So once you start coming together as the church, like-minded, as one person, and you really understand who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, and every individual is doing that, right, you start creating the church, and the church starts to heal their area, and each person in each area starts to heal their area. Now your region is healed. Then each region starts to heal, and as each region starts to heal, then the whole continent, then after the continent, then it just keeps growing and keeps growing until it's the
Right.
whole earth, till it's the whole
Mhm.
universe. And that is what Yah expects us to do.
Right.
And there was something else that I just want to mention. We were talking about yesterday how when the children of Israel were supposed to be going into the promised land,
Mm.
but
Mhm.
they refused to go because they were afraid. They didn't have the faith and they were
people. Yeah.
afraid of the people.
Mhm.
Yah forced them to turn around and go back into the wilderness for 40 years.
Yes.
During that 40 years, they were supposed to be learning the commandments and how to fear Yah and follow Yah wholeheartedly, so that by the time they got into the promised land, they trusted, they believed, they knew that they can do it, and they accomplished it. Okay, they knew that they had to push out all unrighteousness, all sin, all everything that was bad,
Right.
and create from that a land, a nation that would start this whole thing that we're talking about now of being righteous, and it was spread out. Okay,
Right.
but they failed at it again. Okay,
Mhm.
so now 400 years later, now we were supposed to have learned how to follow Yah, like the song Kumbaya. That is a song that is saying, Yah, see me, Yah, hear me, see what I'm doing, see what I'm going through. I'm giving you myself, come to me. Now that is over, we were supposed to have learned how to trust Yah through everything, so that in these last days, no matter what, we would be ready to take on and push out of ourselves, our family, our neighborhoods, our cities, and go from there into righteousness,
Right.
keeping all righteousness.
Right.
Okay. Let's see what you said. This time we are in this for that great multitude that no man can count. Reach out to them. Yahuwah is killing his band for a great gathering of his people. It's happening. Thank you. It works. We're supposed to be learning how to follow Yah, and we were supposed to have learned it in the 400 years. But that's why, like this middle area, that's why we're in this middle area where like nothing's happening. Where we think, okay, the 430 years are over, so now we're supposed to be reigning, but we can't because we don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't know how to reign.
Right.
We don't know how to be Yah's chosen people. So now we're in this kind of gray area where time has kind of stopped for a moment so that we can get on board, start learning what we're supposed to be doing, start walking it out. And as we walk it out, we teach the next person, we teach the next person, we teach the next person. We create that thing that Yah expected us to already kind of know by this time. But he's given us another chance. So we need to buckle down. We need to start reading all the different books of the Bible because, of course, what we hold here, this is not the whole Bible.
Right.
This is not the whole Bible. Let me show you. Not just that, but you have the lost books.
Right.
Okay. These are the books that were not a part of the original Bible.
Right.
Ethiopian Bible does have some of those, but then there's more. Then you have the Apocrypha.
Right.
So this book has a couple of the same books that this other book has, but it also has more.
Right.
And then there's still more.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Then you have the fragments.
Right.
It's upside down. Sorry. Then you have this. This is the fragments.
Right.
Let's see if you can see that. So these are the Dead Sea Scroll fragments. There's not enough of these to make a whole book.
Right.
And a lot of these are torn pages, so it skips around a lot, and you don't really you kind of get the whole idea, but you kind of have to pray and really just chew on the words that you do get from here. But you get a lot more in here than what you do in everything else. Like it pulls it all together. And there's something in here that I wish I knew where it was right off the bat. I'm gonna have to look it up to find. But where the Bible talks about the order of Melchizedek, you don't find the actual answer in the Bible. like the order of Melchizedek, as you read it, you never really understand exactly what the order of Melchizedek is and what we're supposed to be doing as the order of Melchizedek. But there's a fragment that speaks about it. And I've read it and I know what we're supposed to do, but I would like to read it to you, but I don't.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's just the order of Melchizedek, but I'm not sure where it is. But the thing is, you have to put it together from all of these other books. I know a lot of people will say, but it's not canonized, but it's not this. It was taken out for a reason. But also you have to understand Yah still speaks through some of these stories.
Yep.
Yes, some of these stories have been remixed, changed. You know, some of them may seem like they're just fictitious stories based on actual parts of the Bible, but there's things in it that we can learn. Right. And there's something in it that we're gonna switch and restart the live, because there's something I want you guys to see and read to you about a story that is in the book of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, it's in the book of Adam and Eve.
The book of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, is it chapter 5? I want to say, and it talks about Seth and how Satan appeared to Seth, and we just read this to our kids because we wanted them to see how sneaky Satan can be in offering you things and making it seem like the life that Yah has given you is not the right one, and you end up choosing the wrong one. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to kind of read it and talk about it on a live to share with you because we found a lot of great information in it that is helpful even for today. How the enemy, makes you choose certain things, and you think, oh, that sounds great, but you're not understanding that there's a catch to it. Mm-hmm. Everything has a catch-22, like we say sometimes. So we have to be aware of those tactics. But one thing that I wanted to mention about Matthew 22, the very last verse that I thought was interesting was Yeshua kind of caught on to them trying to minimize him into the natural. Like he was not the son of Yah, and he didn't have the spirit of Yah. He was not the savior. Mm-hmm. And he kind of highlighted that to me because that's what a lot of people do today. And I will mention this one particular religious group here just because I want to address something. Something that the Muslims do is they say they believe that Yeshua is a prophet, but they don't believe that Yeshua is the son of Yah. And they are selling these lies to our people by trying to badmouth the Bible and saying, how can you continue to believe in this if you know that there has been lies added or changes done in the Bible? But let's be real about this. There is no book on earth that has been written who does not have lies in it. Okay, so if you believe in people who are doctors because they have a degree, okay, they believe somebody else who wrote that book. And it's the same thing with anything that we are taught on earth, okay? And I will say this, nowhere in the Quran does it say that Muhammad died for me, okay? And that he established a path, a righteous path, by being crucified. Everything that this Bible teaches has been
it's been touched in
it's been studied enough and has been proven that it's true.
Yeah, every
a lot.
Every university.
Right.
On earth has studied
the Bible back and forth and have many scholars, many doctors, many teachers have turned to believe it because they have found out that there's a lot of accounts in the Bible that are actually true. And this is not to badmouth any religion, because I don't believe in no religion whatsoever. I believe in Yeshua. I believe in Yah. I believe in walking in the righteous way by following his commitments and keeping as much as we possibly can with the precepts and the statutes and the regulations and his commitments as perfectly as possible that we can. Okay. And I will say this, none of us even walk in that imperfection. Okay. But I want to address that because I heard someone speaking about it. And I want to simply say, when you can prove that Muhammad died on the cross or was murdered for my righteous cause and rose from the dead and is seated at the right hand of the Father, interceding on my behalf, which the word says, Yeshua intercedes on our behalf, that we have the ability to overcome every trial, every tribulation, anything that is thrown at us. When you can show me that and prove that to me, through doctors and scholars, everybody decides to study the Quran, like they have studied the Bible and tried to prove it wrong at every facet, then maybe we can sit down and have a conversation. But until then, the same way that you protect your Quran is the same way that I'm going to protect my faith, because it has been proven to me, not just by word, but by understanding revelation, the amount of times that Yah have delivered me and pulled me out of situations that I had no business being in. It wasn't Muhammad who showed up. It was Yeshua who showed up on my behalf. And I will stand on that until my very last breath. Okay. So y'all can see my heart and my fire and my love for Yeshua. But, I don't talk about religion and I don't badmouth religion, but you're not going to badmouth mine either. So we have to be able to defend and stand on our faith no matter what, and be real and honest about where we stand. And I just wanted to share that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I
found what I wanted to do. The next thing I want to talk about, and we're gonna end this live real quick, and then we're gonna come right back. So
stay with us.
So I'm gonna end this live real quick, and then we're gonna start another one, and we're gonna go into the second book of Adam and Eve. I want to read something to you guys, because I think it has a lot to do with today, and I think you'll find it interesting. So we'll be right back. Look for it's gonna be a good. See y'all in a minute.
Shabbat shalom.